How can anyone, whether they want to work in a language school or privately from their own laptop anywhere in the world, create a rewarding and impactful career teaching English as a second language, even if they are just starting out or have no teaching experience or ability? Hi, my name is Lynette Kim, and here on the TESOL Talk podcast, I aim to answer that very question.
One of the great things about teaching students English as a second language is that the students themselves bring a wealth of knowledge and life skills and talents to the ESL classroom. And these can be used and incorporated and should be incorporated into your ESL lessons. For example, when teaching children are creative and imaginative, and you can have them like drawing and acting and playing charades and enjoying activities. Quite often they like to do big collages, and they're very expressive, and giving them a little bit of freedom to adapt things. With study tours, one of the things that we love doing was getting students working in groups and giving them a project, so project work, and this was bringing in their creative talents. And students would then, perhaps they'd been given zoo animals, or they'd been given farm animals as a topic, or something like this, or they might have been given food or a play, something, and they know, and they've been told that they have to do a presentation, so they do a big collage board with pictures and everything that they're going to talk about it with basic English. But then let the students, find pictures and find activities and use their skills and their talents to draw things up, not providing everything for them, and incorporating those talents. And then another thing I love doing in study tour is getting students after all of the introductions on day one in a study tour, and telling them that they're going to do a play. And if these students are more advanced, so if they're young teens, they have to write the plays in groups themselves. So you might have 3 or 4 groups, and these groups might have up to 6 to 8 students in each, and they have to write their own plays in English and act them out and make up the parts. Or if they're a bit younger, you can have a written out play, and getting them to use these creative talents to create their own costumes and come up with different things that they're going to do in their play. It's amazing. But when you're teaching adults, you've got to remember that adults already have life skills and jobs and all the rest of it. And so they can bring so much into the ESL classroom. So when you're teaching a particular topic, get to know your students and know their strengths and their weaknesses, and find out about their life skills, and always make sure you're drawing them out and saying, look, in your job or in your field, how would this apply, or how would this work, or tell us about a time that this happened, or tell us about a life experience. The other thing too is adult students have strengths and weaknesses, and you can always find out about these. Some students are better at vocabulary, better at grammar, better at listening, or better at speaking than others, and pronunciation. So you can use those skills, but even just their knowledge, so that when you're teaching about a particular topic, and then you can say to students, okay, I want you to talk to your partner now and tell them about a time that this happened to you, and use this vocabulary. So it might have been some idioms that you'd put on the board, or it might have been some specific vocabulary related to a type of occupation or whatever, and they could talk about a time that they went shopping and something happened, or they had an accident, or they saw a particular thing in their life. And it's good because it draws out from their brain information that they already have in their first language, and now that's going to give them a visual representation to use for translating and using English.
Hi, it's Lynn here. I hope you're enjoying this episode of TESOL Talks. I just want to let you know that if you're interested in teaching English as a second language, the best way to get started is by getting your TESOL certification. And I recommend a TESOL Australia course because, well, I wrote them. I put everything that I wished I had been taught when I was first teaching into the TESOL Australia courses, along with a lot of other information and training. If you have any questions or you need someone to help you figure out a plan to create a rewarding and impactful career teaching English as a second language, simply go to our website, tesolau.com. That's TESOLAU.com, and fill in the inquiry form to get professional advice on your goals and exact situation. Now let's get straight back to the episode.
So those life skills and that knowledge, you can draw on that and extend students and extend the lesson. So you want to find out about your students and you want to incorporate them as much as possible. The lesson is about them. And yes, they do like to hear about you and they do like to hear about their teachers' experiences and all the rest of it. But if that's all they're going to hear about, they're going to get tired of it. So you really don't want to be the focus in your lesson for all the examples, all the things that happen, and or just making situations up, so they're hearing imaginary things all the time. Far better to utilize their experiences and their life skills and get them to talk about themselves and even do presentations about themselves, their home countries, and all of these things, because that's going to help them to integrate. Now, if they're overseas, they will use it in context of their daily lives. But if they're in a Western country like Australia or New Zealand or America, then they'll use it in context for their new life where they are. So either way, and another thing to do for students' life skills is to take them out and get them to put them into practice. So, doing day trips where I've taken students out to shopping centres, I've given them lists of things that they've had to do. So, I mean, all adults know how to shop. Let's face it, you'd have to be on a rock, hidden under a rock somewhere if you didn't. So taking students out and giving them a list. And some of the things that low-level students love to do is if you've got junk mail like Aldi brochures or Coles or Woolies or something like this, or supermarket brochures, and you say to students, this is the budget. So you've got this X amount of dollars for the weekly budget. You have to plan out what you're going to buy and what's on sale, how much money you're going to save. And then you actually take them to supermarkets and they take their trolleys around and they go and they find these items and they have to ask for help. I love to throw hairy ones to the students and get them, like, they have to go to pharmacy and ask for particular types of medicines. I mean, I have been known in the past to do things like write hemorrhoid cream and stuff like this. And so you've got to go and ask, how much is this? You need to know for a friend, or, and the students just come back cracking up laughing, going, oh, teacher, how could you, and then, laughing, but they thought that was hysterical. So, know your students well, know what you can get away with, but certainly getting them to put those life skills into practice, going out in the everyday world and getting them to do activities where they're going to use those life skills, and take them out on a bus ride, make them all do it, get them on there, asking the bus driver where they're going and getting change, and taking them to museums, taking them into the city, all the things that incorporate, opening bank accounts, joining clubs, asking for specific information, all of these life skills. Get your students, they do this in their everyday lives in their language, so they totally understand the concept. It's now getting that meaningful practice out of the classroom where they've practiced dialogues and the vocabulary that's specific to it, and then putting them into real life situations where now those life skills are put into practice using English. This is where meaningful lessons occur. And the more you can do this, the better it's going to be for your students, that they will feel they've come away from your lessons and they're able to incorporate them into their daily lives immediately.